Marcus Webb wiped grease from his hands as he walked through the lower district of Kepler 442 station. The metal corridors smelled like oil and recycled air. He had just finished a 12-hour shift hauling cargo across the sector. His body ached, but he smiled when he thought about getting home to the kids. Home was a cramped apartment with 8 beds squeezed into 3 rooms. It was not much, but it was theirs. 7 children waited for him there. 7 faces from 7 different worlds. 7 hearts that called him Dad. The station speakers crackled to life. A cold voice echoed through every corridor. Marcus stopped walking. Attention all residents. The Galactic Council has declared Kepler 442 station economically non-viable. The station will close in 30 days. All residents must relocate. Special protocols will apply to orphaned minors. Marcus felt his stomach drop. He started running. The community center was packed when he arrived. Hundreds of aliens from dozens of species crowded together. Parents held their children close. Everyone looked scared. At the front of the room stood a tall, thin creature with gray skin and 4 arms. His name was Thexlar, and he wore the purple robes of a council representative. "The closure is final," Thexlar said. His voice was flat, emotionless. "All families with proper documentation will receive relocation assistance. However, orphans without valid guardianship must be processed under Orphan Redistribution Protocol 7 Alpha. A Vexian woman raised her small hand. "What does that mean?" Thexlar's face did not change. "Orphans will be sold to licensed labor contractors. The proceeds will offset station closure costs. It is efficient. It is law." The room erupted. People shouted. Some cried. Marcus pushed through the crowd until he reached the front. "I have 7 kids," Marcus said. "I adopted them. They're not orphans." Thexlar looked down at Marcus. His 4 eyes blinked slowly. "You are human. Let me check your documentation." Marcus pulled out his data pad. His hands shook as he showed the adoption papers. He had worked so hard to get those papers. Each one represented months of bureaucracy and legal fees he could barely afford. Thexlar studied the screen. Then he made a sound like a laugh. "These papers are invalid. Humans are not recognized as proper guardians under Council Law Section 44B. Your species lacks the biological imperative for cross-species child rearing. The children will be classified as orphans." "That's insane," Marcus said. "I've raised them for years. They're my children." "Emotional attachment is irrelevant. Law is law." Thexlar turned to his guards. "Add the 7 minors in Marcus Webb's care to the redistribution list." Marcus grabbed Thexlar's robe. 2 guards immediately pointed weapons at him. He let go but did not step back. "Please," Marcus said, "don't do this. The labor contractors arrive in 3 days. Prepare the children." Thexlar walked away. Marcus stumbled out of the community center. His mind was spinning. He had to think. He had to plan. But first, he had to go home. The children knew something was wrong the moment he walked through the door. Pip, the smallest at 6 years old, ran to him on her 4 little legs. She was Vexian, with purple fur and huge black eyes. "Daddy, you're sad," she said. Marcus picked her up. The other children gathered around. Cora was 9, the only other human. She had lost her parents in a station accident 2 years ago. The twins, Zin and Zax, were 11, with the striped skin of the Korthi people. Sella was 13, tall and thin like all Drexians. Miko was 8, his Quellan feathers a soft blue. And Nash, 15, was half human and half Arxian, with his mother's silver eyes and his human father's strong jaw. "We need to talk," Marcus said. He told them everything. He used simple words, but he did not lie. They deserved the truth. When he finished, the room was silent. Then Cora started crying. Pip buried her face in Marcus's chest. The twins held each other. Sella's 3-fingered hands clenched into fists. Miko's feathers turned dark gray, the color of fear. Nash stood up and walked to the window. "I won't go." Nash said quietly, "I won't let them take us." "Nash, we have to follow the law," Marcus said, even though the words felt like poison in his mouth. "The law is wrong." Nash turned around. "You taught us that. You said humans believe in doing what's right, not just what's legal. You said humans protect their families no matter what." Marcus looked at his son. 15 years old and already so strong. So brave. Nash was right. Marcus had taught them that. He had told them stories about human history, about people who stood up against bad laws, about parents who fought impossible battles for their children. The next 2 days were the longest of Marcus's life. He tried everything legal. He called lawyers. He filed appeals. He begged every council official who would listen. Nothing worked. The law was clear. His papers were invalid. The children would be sold. On the 3rd day, the labor contractor ships arrived. Marcus stood at his window and watched them dock. They were massive vessels, gray and ugly. They looked like prisons, because that is what they were. That afternoon, council guards went door to door in the lower district. They carried electronic collars and data pads. They scanned children and checked paperwork. Marcus heard screaming from the apartment below his. A mother begging, a child crying, then silence. There was a knock on his door. Marcus opened it. 6 guards stood outside. Thexelar was with them. "The children," Thexelar said. "Bring them out." Marcus looked at the guards. They were armed. He was not. They were many. He was one. Behind him, he heard his children crying. He thought about his wife, dead 5 years now. He thought about his biological daughter, lost in the same accident. He had failed to protect them. He would not fail again. "No," Marcus said. Thexelar tilted his head. "Excuse me?" "These aren't orphans," Marcus said. His voice was steady now. "They're my children, and you'll have to kill me to take them." The guards raised their weapons. Marcus did not move. He stood in the doorway, blocking the entrance to his home. His heart was pounding, but his hands were steady. "This is your final warning, human," Thexelar said. "Step aside or face charges of interfering with council law." Marcus spread his arms wide. Behind him, Nash stepped forward. Then Sella. Then all of them. His 7 children lined up behind him, a family standing together. "Then charge me," Marcus said, "because I'm not moving." The hallway was silent. Other families opened their doors. They watched. They waited to see what would happen when a human father said no to the most powerful government in the galaxy. The first guard reached for Marcus. That is when everything changed. The guard's hand never reached Marcus. In one smooth motion, Marcus grabbed the alien's arm and twisted. The guard was strong, trained, and armed, but he was not human. He did not expect the speed. He did not expect the strength. He certainly did not expect the human to fight back. The guard hit the floor hard. Marcus took his weapon and threw it down the hallway. The other 5 guards moved forward together. What happened next would be talked about across the galaxy for years to come. Marcus fought like something wild. He moved between the guards like water, using their size against them. When one swung at him, Marcus ducked and pushed him into another guard. When 2 grabbed his arms, Marcus dropped his weight and kicked out, breaking free. He was not trying to kill them. He was just trying to stop them. But even stopping them was brutal. One guard pulled out an electric prod. Marcus caught his wrist, squeezed until the alien dropped the weapon, then swept his legs out from under him. Another guard tried to tackle Marcus from behind. Marcus dropped low, flipped the guard over his shoulder, and slammed him into the wall. The metal corridor rang like a bell. The watching families gasped. They had never seen a human fight before. Most species in the galaxy evolved as prey or scavengers. They ran from danger. They hid. They negotiated. Humans were different. Humans were predators, and predators did not run when their children were threatened. Nash jumped into the fight. At 15, he was tall and strong. Marcus had taught him to box, to wrestle, to think tactically. Together, father and son moved like a team. When Marcus went high, Nash went low. When one was grabbed, the other broke them free. In 90 seconds, all 6 guards were on the ground. None were seriously hurt, but all were done fighting. They had learned an important lesson: never threaten a human's children. Thexlar stared at Marcus. For the first time, the council representative looked uncertain. He touched his communication device. "This is Thexlar. I need backup at Section 7, Level 12. The human is resisting. Send." Marcus grabbed the device and crushed it in his hand. The metal crumpled like paper. Thexlar stumbled backward. "Get out of my home," Marcus said quietly, "and don't come back." Thexlar ran. Marcus watched him go, then looked down at his hands. They were shaking now. The adrenaline was wearing off. He had just attacked council guards. He had just made everything worse. "Dad?" Cora tugged at his shirt. "What do we do now?" Marcus looked at his children. 7 scared faces. 7 reasons to keep fighting. He made a decision. "We leave. Right now. Pack only what you can carry." While the children packed, Marcus stepped into the hallway. Other families were watching from their doorways. A Drexian father met his eyes, then a Quellan mother, then more. Marcus saw the same fear in all of them, the same anger, the same helplessness. "They're taking our children," Marcus said to the crowd. "They're putting collars on them and selling them like cargo, and we're just letting it happen." "What choice do we have?" someone called out. "They're the council. They have the law. They have the weapons." "They have weapons," Marcus agreed. "But we have something more important. We have children to protect. And I don't know about your species, but humans have a saying. We don't negotiate with people who threaten our kids. We fight." A Vexian woman stepped forward. "How? We're workers, not soldiers." Marcus walked to the guard who had tried to collar his children. The guard had dropped a bag when Marcus threw him down. Marcus picked it up and opened it. Inside were dozens of electronic collars. The same collars they were putting on orphans all over the station. Marcus pulled out a collar and held it up. "These collars control the children. They track them. They shock them if they run. They're how the contractors keep them obedient." He crushed the collar in his hand. The electronics sparked and died. "But they're just machines, and machines can be broken." He threw the bag to the Vexian woman. "Break every collar you find. Free every child you can. And when the guards come, fight back. They expect us to obey. Let's surprise them." For a moment, nobody moved. Then the Drexian father stepped forward. "My daughter is 12. They're taking her tomorrow. I won't let them." The Quellan mother nodded. "My sons, too. I'll fight." One by one, families stepped forward. The crowd grew. Marcus had started something he could not stop. He had started a rebellion. The next hour was chaos. The lower district exploded into action. Parents went door to door, breaking collars and warning others. The guards tried to stop them, but there were too many people and not enough guards. And when the guards did catch someone, others would swarm them, overwhelming them with numbers. Marcus led a group to the enforcement center. It was a small building where the council kept records and equipment. It was also where Thexlar had set up his office. Marcus did not want to hurt anyone, but he needed to slow the council down. He needed time to think of a real plan. They barricaded the doors. Inside, Marcus found computers full of information. Lists of orphans, contracts with labor companies, payment schedules. He started reading and felt sick. "Nash, come look at this," Marcus said. Nash joined him at the computer. Together they read the documents. The numbers did not make sense. According to the official contracts, each orphan would be sold for basic labor work. Mining, farming, cleaning. Hard work, but survivable work. But there were other documents, too. Hidden files that showed different numbers, smaller payments, private transactions, and notes about children who had been redistributed before but whose records ended after 6 months. No more payments, no more tracking data. Just nothing. "They're disappearing," Nash whispered. "The kids, they're not going to labor contracts. They're going somewhere else." Marcus saved the files to a data chip. This was evidence. This was proof that something terrible was happening. He needed to get this information out. He needed help. He went to the communication center in the building. Most council communication was locked, but there was one channel that was always open: the emergency broadcast system. It was supposed to be used for disasters. Marcus figured this counted. He activated the system and started recording. "My name is Marcus Webb. I'm a human cargo hauler on Kepler 442 station. 3 days ago, the Galactic Council announced that all orphans on this station would be sold to labor contractors. They said it was legal. They said it was efficient. What they didn't say was that hundreds of children sold under this program have disappeared. No records, no trace, just gone." He held up the data chip. "I have proof. I have the files. And I have a question for every parent in the galaxy. What kind of civilization sells its children to save money?" Marcus took a breath. "The Council says humans can't be proper guardians because we lack the biological imperative. But I've raised 7 children from 7 different species. I've fed them, taught them, loved them. And right now, the Council is trying to take them from me. They sent guards. I stopped them. Now they'll send more. Maybe they'll send an army. I don't care." He looked directly into the camera. "I'm sending this message to every human colony within 20 light years. I'm asking for help, not for me, for the kids. The Council thinks humans will back down. Let's show them they're wrong. Let's show them what happens when they threaten our children." Marcus ended the recording and broadcast it on every channel he could access. Within seconds, it was spreading across the station. Within minutes, it would reach nearby systems. Within hours, it would be everywhere. He had just declared war on the Galactic Council. Alarms started blaring. Marcus heard ships launching outside. Through the window, he saw Council security vessels moving into position around the station. They were locking everything down. No one in, no one out. Thexlar's face appeared on every screen in the enforcement center. "Marcus Webb, you are under arrest for assault, theft of Council property, and incitement to riot. Surrender immediately, and the punishment will be minimal. Continue to resist, and the entire lower district will be classified as an insurgent zone." Marcus switched off the screens. He gathered the children and the other families who had taken shelter in the building. About 200 people total. They had barricaded themselves in. They had maybe 3 days of food and water. After that, things would get desperate. But Marcus was not thinking about 3 days from now. He was thinking about the message he had sent. He was thinking about every human who might hear it. He was thinking about his wife and daughter and how he had been powerless to save them. This time would be different. Nash stood beside him at the window, watching the Council ships. "Do you think anyone will come?" Marcus put his hand on his son's shoulder. "I think we're about to find out what humans do when someone threatens our family." 48 hours passed like a nightmare that would not end. The Council cut power to the lower district. Marcus and the others survived on emergency generators. They cut water. The families rationed what they had. They cut communications. Marcus could send messages out, but he could not receive any. He had no idea if his call for help had reached anyone. He had no idea if anyone cared. Outside, Council ships circled the station like sharks. More arrived every hour. Marcus counted 30 warships now, enough firepower to destroy the entire station 10 times over. Thexlar was not taking chances. Inside the enforcement center, people were scared. Children cried. Parents whispered about surrender. Marcus tried to keep everyone calm, but he was running out of hope. Nash sat with the younger kids, telling them stories. Sella helped ration the food. Cora organized games to keep the small ones distracted. They were all trying so hard to be brave. On the morning of the third day, Thexelar broadcast a message to the entire station. People of the lower district, your rebellion has failed. Surrender the children, and I promise mercy. Continue to resist, and I will order an orbital strike. You have 2 hours to decide. Marcus knew he was not bluffing. The council had done it before. There were stories of stations that rebelled and were simply erased from the galaxy. 2 hours, 120 minutes. Then everyone he loved would die. Marcus went to the communication center one last time. Maybe he could broadcast again. Maybe he could reach someone, anyone who would care. He sat down at the console and started typing. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely press the keys. Then every alarm in the building started screaming. Marcus ran to the window. Outside, space itself was tearing open. Jump signatures, dozens of them. Bright flashes of light as ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Marcus's heart stopped. More council ships. They were going to attack early. But the signatures were wrong. These were not council warships. Ship after ship appeared. Cargo haulers like the one Marcus used to fly. Mining vessels covered in scars and dents. Colony transports that were older than Marcus. Private yachts. Personal shuttles. Even a few ancient cruisers that should have been in museums. They kept coming. 10 ships, 20, 30, 50. They were all human. Marcus could not breathe. They came. The humans came. At the front of the fleet was a massive battle cruiser, sleek and deadly, with the blue and white colors of the Human Systems Alliance. Marcus knew that ship. Everyone in human space knew that ship. It was the Defiant Guardian, flagship of Admiral Sarah Chen. The Admiral's voice came over every speaker in the station. She sounded calm. She sounded cold. She sounded absolutely terrifying. Council Fleet, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Human Systems Alliance. You are currently targeting a station that contains human civilians and human children. Power down your weapons immediately. Thexelar responded quickly. His voice was confident, but Marcus thought he heard a tiny tremor in it. Admiral Chen, this is a council matter. Your presence here is a violation of treaty law. Withdraw immediately or face consequences. Consequences, Admiral Chen repeated. The word hung in space like a threat. Let me be very clear about consequences. You have announced your intention to sell children, human children, alien children. It does not matter. You have drawn a line, and humanity has arrived to erase it. You are outnumbered, Admiral, Thexelar said. I have 30 warships. You have 50 cargo haulers and 1 battlecruiser. This is not a battle you can win. You're right, Admiral Chen said. We are outnumbered. But let me tell you something about humans, representative. We don't need to win. We just need to make sure you lose. Every ship in this fleet has orders. If you fire on that station, we fire on you, and we don't stop firing until we're all dead or you are. So ask yourself, is this really the hill you want to die on? Is selling orphans really worth starting a war with the only species in the galaxy that refuses to surrender? The council fleet did not respond. Marcus could imagine the captains talking to each other, arguing, scared. The council species had long histories, peaceful histories. They avoided war whenever possible. Humans were different. Humans had 3 major wars in their history, and each one was legendary for its brutality. Other species studied those wars as cautionary tales. Marcus's hands were shaking, but this time it was not from fear. It was from relief so powerful it hurt. They came. When he called, they answered. Humans from 20 different colonies had dropped everything and flown to help one father protect his children. Admiral, Thexelar said slowly, this is madness. You would risk a galactic war over a few orphans? They're not orphans, Marcus said. His voice was quiet, but somehow it carried across every speaker on every ship. They're children. And yes, we would risk everything for them. That's what makes us human." There was a long silence. Then something incredible happened. A new ship appeared on the scanners. It was massive, ancient, and unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. It was built from a metal that seemed to glow with its own light. It looked like it had been carved from a star. "This is an Archon vessel," a deep, resonant voice said. Every species in the galaxy knew that voice. The Archons were the oldest civilization. They had been exploring the galaxy when most species were still living in caves. They had not been seen in 1,000 years, until now. "We have been watching your debate with great interest," the Archon continued. "We have reviewed the evidence. We have studied the laws. We have observed the human response. And we have reached a decision." Marcus held his breath. So did everyone in the fleet. So did everyone on the station. "The Council has violated the fundamental principles of civilization," the Archon said. "No species, regardless of power, has the right to commodify children. The human Marcus Webb's claim is valid. His guardianship is legitimate. The Council's laws are unjust." Thexler's voice was desperate now. "You have no authority here. The Archons abandoned the galaxy centuries ago." "We never abandoned anything," the Archon said. "We simply waited to see if younger species would learn wisdom. It appears some have. Others have not. Therefore, we invoke the ancient law of trial by conviction. Marcus Webb will undergo the Archon Gauntlet. If he succeeds, humanity's petition will be granted and Council law will be reformed. If he fails, humanity must accept Council judgment." Marcus's heart sank. A trial. Of course there had to be a trial. Nothing was ever simple. "What's a gauntlet?" Nash whispered beside him. Marcus did not know, but a screen in the enforcement center lit up, showing an Archon face. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time, old beyond comprehension, but somehow ageless. "Marcus Webb," the Archon said, "you have claimed that humans are fit to protect children of all species. You have defied law and risked death for this belief. Now you must prove it. You will face 4 trials: physical, mental, moral, and spiritual. Complete them, and your claim will be validated. Fail any trial, and you must surrender the children." Marcus looked at his kids. 7 faces watching him. 7 reasons to say yes. 7 reasons to risk everything one more time. "When do we start?" Marcus asked. The Archon's eyes seemed to glow. "Now." Light surrounded Marcus. The world disappeared. When his vision cleared, he was standing in a massive arena. The walls stretched up forever. The floor was made of smooth white stone. Across from him stood a figure in silver armor, an Archon warrior. "The first trial," a voice boomed. "Strength without cruelty. You must defeat the warrior in combat, but you must also show mercy. Prove that humans can be both powerful and compassionate. Fail, and your children belong to the Council." The warrior raised a weapon. Marcus had no weapon. He had no armor. He just had his hands and his will. He thought about Pip's small purple face. He thought about Cora's fierce hugs. He thought about the twins' laughter. He thought about Sella's quiet kindness. He thought about Miko's gentle songs. He thought about Nash's courage. He thought about his wife and daughter, lost forever. He would not lose anyone else. Marcus charged forward. The trial had begun. Above the arena, projected across space for every ship to see, the battle played out. Humans watched their champion fight. Aliens watched a species they had always feared show what they were truly capable of. And in the enforcement center on Kepler 442 station, 7 children held hands and prayed for their father. The galaxy was watching. The fate of every orphaned child in Council space hung in the balance. And one human father fought for them all. The Archon warrior moved like lightning. His silver blade cut through the air where Marcus's head had been a second before. Marcus rolled, came up fast, and charged. The warrior was faster. The warrior was trained for 1,000 years. But Marcus was desperate, and desperation made him dangerous. They fought across the white stone floor. Every time Marcus got close, the warrior's blade forced him back. Every time he tried to circle, the warrior cut off his path. This was a test of strength, but it was also a test of intelligence. Marcus could not win with force alone. He studied the warrior's movements. The blade always came from the same angle. The warrior always stepped left after a strike. Patterns. Every fighter had patterns. Marcus just needed to exploit them. The next time the blade came down, Marcus did not dodge. He stepped inside the warrior's reach, taking a shallow cut across his shoulder. Pain exploded through him, but he was close now, too close for the blade to be useful. Marcus grabbed the warrior's arm and twisted hard. The blade clattered to the floor. Now it was just fists, just strength, just will. The warrior was stronger. His punches felt like hammers. Marcus felt ribs crack. His vision blurred, but he kept fighting. He thought about his children watching. He thought about every orphan in the galaxy who needed someone to fight for them. Pain did not matter. Winning mattered. Marcus caught the warrior's next punch and used the momentum to throw him. The warrior crashed to the ground. Marcus jumped on top of him, raining down blows. The warrior's armor cracked. His helmet split. Marcus raised his fist for one final strike that would end the fight. Then he stopped. The warrior's face was exposed now. He looked old, tired. His eyes were not angry. They were sad. This warrior was not Marcus's enemy. He was just doing his duty, just following orders, just like the guards Marcus had fought on the station. "Strength without cruelty," Marcus whispered. He lowered his fist. He stood up and offered his hand to the warrior. For a long moment, the warrior just stared at him. Then he took Marcus's hand. Marcus pulled him to his feet. "You could have ended me," the warrior said quietly. "You were already defeated," Marcus replied. "There's no honor in beating a beaten man." The arena disappeared. Marcus was suddenly standing in a small white room. His wounds were gone. The pain was gone. But the exhaustion remained. He had barely caught his breath when the second trial began. A screen appeared in front of him. It showed two groups of children. One group had 7 children. Marcus recognized them immediately: Pip, Cora, Zin, Zax, Sella, Miko, and Nash, his children. The other group had 10 children of various species. All looked scared. An Archon voice filled the room. "The second trial, Wisdom of Solomon. You may save one group. Choose the 7 you know and love, or choose the 10 innocents you have never met. This is the choice every parent faces. Personal love versus moral duty. Choose now." Marcus felt sick. He looked at his children on the screen. Pip was crying. Nash was trying to comfort her. They were everything to him, but the other 10 children were someone's everything too. "No," Marcus said. "You must choose," the Archon voice said. "This is the trial." "The trial is flawed," Marcus said. His voice was getting stronger. "You're asking me to decide which children deserve to live, but that question has no good answer. Every child deserves protection. Every child deserves love. The problem is not which group to save. The problem is a system that makes me choose at all." He pointed at the screen. "In a just universe, I save all 17. I find a third option. I change the system. That's what humans do. We don't accept terrible choices. We make new choices." "But you have limited resources," the Archon voice said. "You cannot save everyone." "Then I get more resources," Marcus shot back. "I ask for help. I build a bigger ship. I work harder. But I never, ever accept that some children are worth less than others. That's not wisdom. That's just cruelty, pretending to be practical." The room was silent for a long moment. Then the screen disappeared. "You pass," the Archon voice said. "You have understood the true test. Wisdom is not choosing between evils. Wisdom is refusing to accept evil as inevitable." Marcus barely had time to process that before the third trial began. The room transformed into a long corridor. At the far end, maybe 50 meters away, Marcus saw a small pedestal. On it sat a glowing crystal. The corridor was filled with fire. Blue plasma flames roared from floor to ceiling. The heat was incredible, even from where Marcus stood. He could feel his skin burning just from being near it. "The third trial," the Archon voice said. "The fire walk. You must retrieve the crystal. It represents the goal you seek. Child protection, justice, change, but the path is pain. Most species would give up, prove that humans do not." Marcus looked at the flames. He thought about his children. He thought about every child in the galaxy who needed someone to walk through fire for them. Then he started walking. The pain was instant and absolute. His clothes caught fire within seconds. His skin blistered. He screamed but kept walking. 5 meters, 10 meters. His vision went white with pain. He fell to his knees, crawling now. 15 meters. 20. He thought about his wife. She had walked through fire too, in her own way, fighting cancer for 3 years, never giving up, never stopping. She taught him that some things were worth any pain. 25 meters, 30. Marcus could not see anymore, could not think, could only move forward, always forward. His hand touched the pedestal. He grabbed the crystal. The fire disappeared. Marcus collapsed. He was suddenly unhurt again, but the memory of the pain remained. He clutched the crystal and tried not to throw up. "Most species stop at 20 meters, the Archon voice said. There was something like respect in it now. "Humans are the only species that has ever completed the fire walk. Your pain tolerance is remarkable." Marcus stood up shakily. "We have a saying. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But really, it just makes you more stubborn." The crystal disappeared from his hand. The room changed one final time. Marcus found himself standing in a circle of light. Around him, the darkness was absolute. In the center of the circle stood an Archon. This one looked different from the others. Older somehow, more real. "The fourth trial," the Archon said. "The truth unveiled. You stand in a field that makes lies impossible. Your mind is open to me. Your heart is open. Your very soul is visible. I will ask you one question. You must answer with complete honesty. Any deception, any holding back, and you fail." Marcus nodded. He was too tired to be scared anymore. "Why do you fight?" the Archon asked. "Is it pride? Glory? A desire to prove humans superior? Tell me the deepest truth of why you stand here." Marcus closed his eyes. The truth. The real truth. The part he barely admitted to himself. "I failed them," he whispered. "My wife. My daughter. We were on a transport coming back from Earth. There was an accident, a reactor failure. I was in the cargo bay. They were in the passenger section. By the time I got to them, they were already gone. I couldn't save them. I couldn't protect them. I failed." Tears ran down his face now. "Every day I look at my 7 children, and I see second chances. I see the family I lost and the family I found. And every day I'm terrified that I'll fail them too. That I'm not enough. That I'm broken somehow. That losing my first family broke something inside me that can't be fixed." He opened his eyes and looked at the Archon. "But I keep trying anyway. Because those 7 kids deserve someone who will fight for them. Even if that someone is scared. Even if that someone is broken. Even if that someone is just a cargo hauler who doesn't know what he's doing. They deserve protection. They deserve love. And maybe, if I can save them, if I can give them the life my daughter never got to have, then maybe I can forgive myself. Maybe I can be whole again." Marcus took a shaky breath. "So that's the truth. I'm not fighting because I'm brave. I'm fighting because I'm guilty, because I need them as much as they need me. Because without them, I'm just a broken man who lost everything. With them, I'm a father. And being a father is the only thing that makes me feel human anymore." The silence stretched forever. Marcus waited for judgment, waited to be told he was unworthy, waited to lose everything again. The Archon stepped forward and put a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "You pass," he said softly. "True courage is not the absence of fear or pain or guilt. True courage is carrying those burdens and still choosing to protect others. You are broken, Marcus Webb. But broken things can still be beautiful. Broken things can still be strong. And broken things can still love." The arena disappeared. Marcus found himself back in the enforcement center on Kepler 442 station. His children rushed to him, crying and laughing and hugging him. He held them all and cried, too. Above them, projected for the entire galaxy to see, the lead Archon spoke. "We have witnessed the trials. We have seen the human spirit. Marcus Webb has proven that humanity's claim is valid. But more than that, he has proven that the Council's laws are fundamentally unjust." The Archon's voice grew cold. "During the truth trial, our technology scanned all present. We discovered something interesting. Council Representative Thexlar has been accepting bribes from labor contractors. More than that, he is connected to a criminal organization that traffics children. The economically non-viable station designation was fabricated. It was created specifically to generate orphans to sell. On every screen, evidence appeared. Documents, transaction records, communications. Thexlar's crimes laid bare for the galaxy to see. "The Council is corrupt," the Archon declared, "and corruption requires cleansing. Admiral Chen, you have our authorization. Show them why predators protect their young." Admiral Sarah Chen's voice was cold as ice. "All human vessels, you have weapons free. Disable the Council ships, board the labor contractors, find the children." The human fleet moved as one. The cargo haulers and mining ships looked old and slow, but they were piloted by people who had flown through asteroid fields and solar storms. They knew their ships. They knew how to fight. The Council warships tried to respond, but their hearts were not in it. Their commanders had just watched Marcus's trials. They had heard the Archon's judgment. They had seen proof of Thexlar's crimes. Many Council captains simply powered down their weapons. Others retreated. A few tried to fight, but they were quickly overwhelmed. The labor contractor ships tried to run. They did not get far. Human ships surrounded them, forcing them to stop. Boarding parties breached the hulls. What they found inside made Marcus sick. The contractor ships were not work vessels. They were prisons. Children were kept in tiny cells, barely big enough to stand. Electronic collars kept them sedated. The food was terrible. The water was dirty. And there were far more children than there should have been. Not just from Kepler 442 station. Children from dozens of stations across the sector. Human soldiers freed them all. They carried out the small ones. They guided the older ones to medical bays. They broke every collar, every chain, every lock, and when they found the contractors who ran these ships, they arrested them with extreme prejudice. Marcus watched it all from the station. Nash stood beside him, both of them staring at the screens. "How many?" Nash asked quietly. 417 children, Admiral Chen reported, ranging from age 4 to 16. Multiple species. We're still identifying them and searching for families. Marcus felt his legs go weak. 417. The official number of orphans from Kepler 442 had been 130. That meant the rest came from somewhere else. From stations that had closed before. From families that had been told their children went to better opportunities. From a system that treated children like cargo. Thexlar was arrested on the station. Human soldiers found him trying to delete files from his personal computer. He screamed about diplomatic immunity and council law. Nobody listened. They put him in chains and took him away. Over the next week, the truth came out. Thexlar was just one part of a massive criminal network. Council officials across multiple sectors had been taking bribes to create economically non-viable stations. The orphans were sold to contractors who pretended to use them for labor, but many were actually sold again to private buyers. Rich collectors who wanted exotic servants, criminal organizations who wanted small hands for delicate work, even worse things that Marcus could not bear to think about. The scandal destroyed the council government. Representatives resigned, officials were arrested, entire departments were investigated. The Archons, who had been silent for 1,000 years, suddenly became very active. They made it clear that they would be watching the galaxy much more closely from now on. Admiral Chen stayed at Kepler 442 for the investigations. One evening, she asked to meet with Marcus privately. They sat in the enforcement center, now converted into a temporary relief station for the rescued children. "I need to tell you something," Chen said, "about why I came when you called." Marcus waited. 30 years ago, I was 8 years old," Chen began. "My parents died in a mining accident on Titan. I was alone, scared. The authorities were going to send me to a work program. Back then, there were no laws against it for human children either. But a stranger stopped them, a cargo hauler named James Webb, your uncle." Marcus's eyes went wide. "Uncle James?" Chen nodded. "He argued with the authorities for hours. He pulled every string he could. He threatened to fight them if they tried to take me. Eventually, they backed down. James took me home. He and his wife raised me like I was their own. They gave me a chance at a real life, at a real family." She smiled, but there were tears in her eyes. "When I heard your message, I knew exactly who you were. You're his nephew. You have the same stubborn streak, the same refusal to accept injustice, the same insane willingness to fight impossible battles for children you barely know. So when you called for help, I came. Because James Webb saved me, and I needed to help his family save others." Marcus did not know what to say. He had not seen Uncle James in years. The old man had passed away 5 years ago, right before Marcus lost his own family. But knowing that his uncle had done this, had saved a little girl who grew up to be an admiral, who came to save Marcus and his children, it felt like a circle closing. Like family reaching across time to help family. "Thank you," Marcus said finally, "for coming, for believing, for everything." "Thank you for reminding the galaxy what we fight for," Chen replied. The council reformed over the next 6 months. They created new laws, based on principles that humanity had been fighting for since the beginning. Every child had rights. Every child could be protected by any species willing to protect them. Guardianship was not about biology. It was about love. And most importantly, selling children was now illegal everywhere in council space. The punishment was severe. Life imprisonment. No exceptions. Kepler 442 station was not closed. Instead, it was rebuilt with Archon technology. It became something new, a sanctuary, a place where orphaned children of any species could find safety, where families could be formed across species lines, where love mattered more than law. Marcus became the director. He ran the sanctuary with help from Admiral Chen and the families who had fought beside him. They created programs, schools, medical centers, places where children could heal and grow and dream. The 7 children who started it all thrived. Pip grew up to be an engineer, designing new life support systems for stations. Cora became a pilot, flying rescue missions across the sector. Zin and Zax studied xenobiology, learning about different species and how to help them. Sella became a lawyer, fighting for children's rights in courts across the galaxy. Miko became an artist, creating beautiful works that reminded people why compassion mattered. And Nash joined the Human Systems Alliance. Nash trained hard. He learned to fight like his father, to protect like his father, to refuse to back down like his father. At 20 years old, he graduated top of his class and was assigned to a ship that specialized in rescue operations. His first mission was to shut down an illegal operation on the edge of Council space, a group trying to restart the child trafficking business. Nash and his team found 12 children in terrible conditions. Nash freed them personally, breaking every collar with his own hands. And when the criminals tried to fight, Nash showed them exactly what happened when you threatened children around humans. Marcus watched Nash's career with pride. All his children made him proud. They had taken the pain of their early lives and turned it into purpose. They helped others. They fought for justice. They became the kind of people the galaxy needed. 6 years after the rebellion, a ship arrived at Kepler 442 with 40 new children, orphans from a station disaster. They were scared, alone, lost. Marcus met them at the dock. "Welcome," he said gently. "I know you're scared. I know you've lost everything. But you're safe now. This is a place where families are built, where love is shared, where every child matters." A small Vexian girl, no more than 6 years old, looked up at him with huge black eyes. She reminded Marcus of Pip all those years ago. "Are you going to sell us?" she whispered. Marcus knelt down to her level. "No, little one. We're going to protect you. We're going to teach you. We're going to love you. And when you're ready, we're going to help you find a family. Or we'll be your family." "Whatever you need." "Promise?" the girl asked. "I promise," Marcus said, "and humans keep their promises." He stood and looked at all 40 children. Each one was a second chance. Each one was a life that could be saved. Each one was a future that could be better. He thought about his wife and daughter. He thought about the man he used to be, broken, lost, drowning in guilt. But he was not that man anymore. He was a father, a protector, a symbol of what one person could do when they refused to accept injustice. The galaxy was better because he had said no, because he had fought, because he had proven that humans would do anything to protect their children. The children followed him into the sanctuary. Behind him, he heard footsteps. His 7 children had come to help. They always helped. This was their mission now, their purpose. Together, they would welcome every lost child. They would build every new family. They would fight every battle that needed fighting. In space above the station, ships came and went. Some brought supplies, some brought new children, some brought families looking to adopt. The Archons watched from a distance, satisfied that this part of the galaxy was learning. The council officials visited regularly, ensuring the laws were being followed. And human ships patrolled the sector, making sure everyone knew that this station was protected. Years later, on the anniversary of the rebellion, they built a memorial in the center of Kepler 442 station. It was a statue of Marcus holding Pip in his arms, with the other 6 children around him. At the base were words that had become famous across the galaxy. Here stood Marcus Webb, who taught the galaxy that family is not defined by species or law. It is defined by love, and love is worth fighting for. Marcus stood looking at the statue, feeling strange about being immortalized in metal. Pip, now a grown woman with engineering degrees and her own adopted children, put her arm around him. "You look uncomfortable, Dad," she said with a smile. "I just did what any parent would do," Marcus said. "No," Pip said gently. "You did what humans do. You saw injustice and you fought it. You saw children in danger and you saved them. You saw a system that needed to change and you changed it. That's not what any parent does. That's what human parents do, and that's why the galaxy is better." Marcus looked around the station. He saw human families and alien families. He saw Vexian parents raising Drexian children. He saw Korthi parents with Quellan kids. He saw love crossing every boundary that used to exist. This was his legacy, not the fighting, not the trials, not even the laws. His legacy was the proof that love was stronger than any system, that families could be chosen, that every child deserved protection, no matter what species they were, no matter where they came from, no matter what anyone said. He had started as one broken man trying to save 7 children. He had ended up changing the galaxy. Nash, now a decorated officer, came to stand beside him. "The transport just arrived. 20 more kids from the Outer Rim. You ready?" Marcus smiled. "Always." They walked together toward the docking bay, father and son, human and half-alien, family in every way that mattered. Behind them, the sanctuary hummed with life. Hundreds of children laughing, playing, learning, growing, safe. Marcus Webb had broken the chains, and in doing so, he had freed not just children, but the future itself. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly how it should be. As he reached the docking bay and saw the new children, scared and alone, Marcus knelt down to greet them. He smiled, he opened his arms, and he said the words that every child needed to hear. "Welcome home."